Learning intention. I can create a leaflet that persuades someone to visit a local location. Step 1. Research. One of my favourite search engines for children is Kiddle. It's sponsored by Google and you can find it at kiddle.co. It makes safe visual search engines much easier to use, and Primary 5 have all been taught how to use this search engine. Now we need to think about what words we're going to put into our search engine so we can find the most appropriate information. We need to decide where we're going to do our leaflet on. So I'm going to type in places to visit in Edinburgh. Scroll past the advertisements and the top website says 19 top-rated tourist attractions in Edinburgh. The second one down says the best things to do in Edinburgh near me, days out with the kids. I think this is going to be aimed at parents taking children out places to visit, so this could be a good one. But I want to look at this one first because it says top-rated tourist attractions. Things to notice about the website are the title. Is it relevant? 19 top-rated tourist attractions in Edinburgh. Because we're writing a leaflet which is going to be aimed at tourists, this suits us perfectly. When was it written? Because we want the most up-to-date information available too. This was written by Brian Dearsley, March 10th, 2020, and that was this month, which means this stuff was up to date. It includes pictures, information, and keywords in bold, just like we find in our information books. It's in order of, I think, popularity. Edinburgh Castle's the first one, as it's probably one of the most visited places in Edinburgh. We have the Palace of Holyrood House and Holyrood Abbey. It even has a map. We could use this on our leaflet if we wanted to choose this location. The Royal Mile. There are advertisements and other such things in as well, but we can ignore those. Arthur's Seat. The Royal Yacht Britannia. The Royal Yacht Britannia is one of the most popular attractions associated with the monarchy. This looks interesting. It even has the address, which I will need to put on my leaflet later. So I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to open a Word document, or even get a piece of paper and a pen. You could use the jotter that you're provided with. And to create a mind map or a list with bullet points, it's up to you. Right, let's zoom in. Now, I need a title. Nice and simple. I'm going to start a new line and then I'm going to press this button here, which highlights as bullets, to create a bullet list. So let's go back and find the address. It is at Ocean Drive, Leith, Edinburgh. So I'm going to highlight it by clicking and dragging, right-clicking on the text, selecting copy, going back to my Word document, right-clicking on the space, and keeping the text only by selecting that and pressing click. Got the address. What else do I need? There's a website. I probably need that too. So I'm going to take that as well and add it to my Word document. Now I'm going to explore the website. There's tabs at the top of these sorts of websites that tell us how to visit and sorts of things you might expect to see there. This one has a blog, which is sort of like its museum diary. It has a gallery as well. It also has frequently asked questions, or FAQ, which could really help me with my research when I want to include information onto my leaflet. This tab right here says About, and it shows me lots of information about the place. I might go through and select some interesting information that I want to add onto my notes before I start my leaflet. Step 2. What a good one looks like, or as we call it, a waggle. Here is an example of a leaflet that you can find about the city of Edinburgh. It is a city guide, usually found on tours or in local restaurants, and it has city maps telling people where to go and what to see. It comes in lots of different languages, and the title on the front is written in those languages so that the people travelling all around the world can find what they need to find. It's nice and clear, very simple and eye-catching, with a good photo or illustration of the city itself. Think about what you're going to put on your leaflet when you design your front cover. Make it nice and clear and eye-catching. Here is another example. This shows what it looks like inside a leaflet. This one is taken from Science Fest, and I've chosen this example because it's beautiful and bright and eye-catching with lots of different fonts and images. You have to think about your audience when you're designing your leaflet. Is this an audience designed for kids, or is it going to be designed for grown-ups? When you decide to choose your colours, pictures, and how the information is laid out, you need to think about who your target audience is going to be. The final waggle that I'm showing you is for the Edinburgh Castle. It has nice clear font at the top as well, and has a photograph of two people enjoying themselves and having a nice time outside the castle on a sunny day. Success criteria. Here are some of the things that you definitely need to include as part of your success criteria. You need to have a clear title, pictures or illustrations. You need to know the location of the place that you've chosen. This would probably include an address, a website, and maybe some contact information if you can find it. A phone number is really useful, but the website is probably the first thing that people are going to check out about your chosen location. Things to do. Now this is really important. You need to choose some of the great things that are available at the location of your choice. So things that people might want to go and see. You need to persuade your audience to do the things that you think that they'd enjoy and therefore go to the location. Times and dates. Now, a lot of Edinburgh activities such as the Fringe Festival is seasonal, so you need to put in when it's open, if it's open most days, and if it's only open during certain parts of the year, you need to put in the dates of when it's open. Prices. This is really important, especially if you've got a large family, because if it's too expensive, then people might not choose to go. But if it's nice and cheap, or if there are discounts for students and concessions, then the prices will definitely change people's minds if they are interested in the location. And if you really want to up-level your leaflet and push yourselves a little bit further, you can include a quote of somebody that's already been there. So for example, if a family member has already been to the location, why don't you ask them what it was like and see if you can record what they thought about it. This will definitely entice people if they think that other people have enjoyed it before them. Creating your leaflet. So, all I've got here is a piece of plain A4 paper, and I have coloured pens and a black pen for the main outline. I suggest that if you are going to start designing your template as you're going along, that you start with a pencil first, so that when you draw it lightly, if you make any mistakes, if you want to move font around or change the picture slightly, you can always rub it out if you go a little bit wrong. But first of all, we need to fold our leaflet. Now you can get leaflets that are just one sheet like this, but most leaflets are folded, and you can either have your design folded in half to A5, like a sort of birthday card style, But the ones that I keep coming across mostly are the ones that are folded into 3 sections, which gives you 6 sort of sides to your leaflet pattern. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, there's no real trick to this unless you want to get a ruler out and measure it, but the quickest way that I find is by folding it to roughly halfway along to the sort of 3rd mark along the paper, and then folding the other side as well just lightly, and then I can shuffle the paper around until it sort of lines up with the edge, and I can see that it's lined up because I can see the corner about to touch the inside of my other fold, and I'm going to gently press my leaflet down, okay, till I think I've got it perfectly in line, and just push the middle like this, okay, and then I'm going to put my fingers along here and just carefully push it nice and straight. Not too hard in case I need to readjust it or fold it separately. There we go. And I've got a nice sharp crease. Now I know I've got it correct. And then I've got now a folded sort of leaflet shape that I can start with. So I'm going to fold the right hand side into the center, because it opens a bit like a book. So this is going to be my front cover. Then I'm going to decide what I want on each one of my other sections. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do each and every section. I'm only going to start you off, but it depends on what your information is that you found out from your website. So I'm going to do a template version, so there won't be any real information on here, but you can lay it out however you fancy. But I'm going to make my title nice and clear, so I'm going to put my title here. I'm going to use not quite bubble writing, but I'm going to make it bold, so it's nice and clear for my audience to see and it stands out. Now, when you're thinking about fonts, you also need to think about your audience, as suggested earlier. If it's for grown-ups, it might need to look a little bit more sophisticated. If it's for families, you might want to give it the element of fun, and you could do your bubble writing and maybe do some coloured shapes on there as well. Or if it's aimed at the kids themselves, you've got to think about the place that you're wanting them to visit. If it's a historical place, you need to make it maybe history themed. If it's a science place, you could add on things like to do with space. If the museum has a space exhibition, for example, it all depends on the research that you've found out yourself. Now, apart from your title, you want a picture in the middle. So what could my picture be to go for this template? I'm going to put, let's pretend it's a museum and people want to do some learning. So I'm going to draw a person, I think. Some hair. You can take a lot more time to draw your person or people if you're going to have those on the front than I am. I'm just quickly doodling so you can see some kind of layout. Right, I might also put a logo here. You can put it anywhere you want to. I've decided on a question mark because I don't know what my location is. You could also put on the front here, so it's nice and clear, either a little bit of information. So you can have in this box maybe a quote from someone that's visited, or you could put some information that might be useful to someone picking it up quickly. Up to you. But that's just to make that whole thing eye-catching. So if mine was aimed at a kids museum, for example, I could put some other sort of symbols that might link with my design as well to make it nice and bright. And I might even think about the colours that I'm going to use that might make it suitable for both boys and girls. The colours that I choose could be used throughout my leaflet. So if I think about the location, maybe the museum that you're looking at, or maybe the location that you're looking at already has a colour scheme, for example. Now, opening up your leaflet, the first thing you want to see is lots of things that people have been up to. So activities to do, for example, and now you can still design your titles nice and clearly. You're going to take a lot longer on yours, aren't you? Now, because I've decided my rough theme is going to be a science museum for kids, I'm going to make it nice and eye-catching by adding interesting shapes to how I'm going to put in my information, just like in that Waggle. Maybe I could do a see lots of great things, and I could even put like a bullet pointed list of things that you can find from the company's website that you can do. So maybe there's a soft play. Kids like soft play. Learn new things. You could include things that parents might want to do with the kids as well. So for example, when you go on a day out, if there's a cafe, could potentially go to the cafe, etc. And maybe a nice picture to go with it. So if you're wanting to do a little picture to go with your cafe, just a little symbol might be really good to go with it. Then these pages can be used for pretty much anything you want. You could include things like quotes from people that have been there, where to find us, could do a nice big title at the top here. And if you're trying to up-level your information skills, you could even find a picture off either their website or using Google Maps to see where in Edinburgh your location is and try and copy the map. Or if you've got access to a printer, you could potentially print it off and stick it on. Now, the thing on the back page is really important, is all the information that people must know. So things that you definitely need to know, and you can lay it out how you want, but you could use boxes. Make sure you use a ruler to put in your prices. Contact information. And that might include your website, phone number, or email address. You could also then finish off your leaflet after you've put all information on this page as well by putting a enticing comment. Can't wait to see you. Looking forward to seeing you soon. That kind of thing, and make it poppy and make it interesting and stand out, because the main thing you want for your leaflet is that it is eye-catching and relevant to the type of location that you've got. So for example, if I was to do this leaflet on the Royal Britannia, I might put pictures of the ships overlapping my design, or maybe even if I was doing the Royal Britannia, I could take my time to draw a sort of like ship's wheel or something to make it themed to the page. Check your work. Now you've completed your work and used your success criteria to make any edits that you need to make, it's time to share your learning. Take a photograph or write a comment and upload it to your learning journal so I can see what you have done and respond. Well done!